Okay. Jeff Swansea,
Here,
Paul Chowski,
Paul is gonna be out. He had just Aaron's minor surgery done yesterday, and he might be out another month or so.
Rob Wensing. Yeah. Jack Hirsch here. John Mello.
Present. Thanks, Christie. Chief, any amendments to the agenda?
No.
How about awards or presentations?
We do have an award to share with you. It's somewhat premature. We'll actually have this individual join us when he physically gets it, but we did have Lieutenant D. Decker was selected as the firefighter of the year with the Elks Firefighter of the Year award. That'll be presented to him March 23rd. So we'll have him come back to the meeting when he actually has the award, but I wanted to make sure that we recognize Matt, but that's why he's not here.
Is he related to Jane Decker?
He is.
Okay.
Yep. And Matt's a lieutenant in the training division, been in training 2 years now? Yeah. Does a great job for us. So that's it.
Okay, thank you, Chief. That will take us to public comment, and I see we have Zach and Brian in the audience. Welcome to you both. Any public comment from either of you? Thanks for being here. And anybody on internet?
No, sir.
Okay, that will take us to our cassette agenda. They like to make a motion to accept it or have anything pulled?
I'll make a motion to accept it.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. That will take us into our regular agenda. Item 3. Rod. Mr. Chair. Rod's here, Martin present. Just starting. You'll find out it's gonna be harder and harder to be on time.
Doesn't get any easier.
Okay, takes in our regular agenda, and number 3, discuss proposed employee engagement survey questions, and I know Andrew is gonna handle this. Chief, you want to say anything first or kick it off?
Yeah, if I could just do a brief overview. So this has been a request that was put forth in October, but due to the process, we got to go through the UKG process, which is the contractual service, and we jointly are in with the city. So what Andrea has put I don't want to steal her thunder, but basically we have draft questions that we wanted to put forth to the board. I do want to remind you of a couple of things. We do a organizational assessment or climate assessment, as they describe it, survey through Frontline. We did that for the first time last year. We shared those results with you. We will do the same this year. Now, the reason I bring that up is because of timing. That is a pretty exhaustive survey because it goes into all aspects of the individual, as far as just their general medical well-being and mental well-being, plus the organizational side. So the timing of this, I just want to make sure that we get a little bit of distance between the two surveys, so we're not basically stacking one on top of the other. That one is due in April. Now, depending on where you all go with these questions, Andrea still has some work to do, but I just want to throw that out there so the expectation is set up front. And we want to try to create some degree of separation. So, Andrea, I hope I didn't steal your thunder.
Thank you for this. This is fun because I've been wanting to do this for a couple years now, so I appreciate getting the opportunity to get into UKG, and it's called Employee Voice. If I refer to that, that's what it's called. The few things that we want to go over the questions, and those are the proposed questions are in your board packet, so we definitely want your feedback on that. But a couple other things, we want to talk about the questions. We also want to know, as a board, what exactly do you expect to see from the results? The overall summary, do you want something more specific than that? Because that's something that needs to be upfront so we can let employees know that. And then we'll have to talk about what's done with the information as well.
It's an anonymous, I say anonymous.
It's confidential survey, yeah.
I appreciate having the opening and questions, seeing those answered. Now you have one there, 43, if you could change 3 things about LFRA. What would they be and how would you change them? I might add why as well.
Are you taking input at this point?
I will take input on the questions.
If I could read to you a short letter that Paul asked me to share with the board. It says, per our discussion, I will not be attending. I did want to ask that you relay my thoughts regarding our 360 survey. I believe I speak for other members of the rural board when I suggest the following criteria. 1, all answers are completely anonymous. 2, all results and raw data, a survey will only be sent to the chair of our board for distribution to board members. Results will be provided to chief after board has reviewed them. 3, retaliation against any survey responder will not be tolerated and will be dealt with accordingly. 4, all personnel taken survey will be informed of items 1 through 3 of this correspondence and will also be notified that the proposed survey is being requested by the LFRA board. Let me see if there's anything else I need to read here. It's everything really didn't have to do with the survey, but maybe you can answer it, Andrew. I know the chief probably can. One other item I request be discussed is the issue of personal liability our sworn staff may or may not have as a result of legislation coming out of state government. So I guess there's been some concern with the police department that they're not covered by some of the recent laws, and the same might be true for fire. I don't know, but he wanted that discussed.
Yeah.
I guess there's concern out there.
Yeah, I can pick that up on the back end if you want.
Okay, I'm fine with it. And again, these are Paul's recommendations. I'm reading them to the board for your consideration.
When was the last time we had one of these?
I mean, the frontline survey would be the closest since I've been here for the past 7 years.
Were you all privy to that, or was that
That was your first
okay?
meeting in November.
Where we did kind of, Andrea did an overview of the results. We had some scatter plotting we shared, and then we gave you the overall results, I guess. But that would have been, they took it in March, if I'm not mistaken.
I think
March or May, but
Do we need to have anything in there about, I feel the amount of overtime expected is reasonable. And maybe something about that it's my profession adds stress to family relations, so we kind of elicit information.
so Andrew and I talked about, we're open to any of the questions. I mean, we did 40, I think she did 45, so we were thinking, let's keep
Yeah.
it no more than 50, and we do
Yeah.
have some open-ended questions that wouldn't necessarily put an employee in a position if
Yeah,
they wrote something dramatic, not dramatic, but more lengthy.
Yeah, and we also want to make sure comparing it to the information we already get from frontline.
okay.
So we just want to make sure we're not too redundant with that. So
Okay.
I'll look at
I
that
don't know
information
what
too.
the
As long as we're
reference
getting
is.
it in one of the two
Just I know some of the
places, the
times the
benefit,
overtime has had a.
right. The benefit with the UKG survey is with the frontline survey, we're not getting any departmental, like division responses. They're not divvying it out like that by supervisor or anything like that. So that is a benefit of using the UKG system. So there is some redundancy.
there's a couple questions regarding staffing. The workload is too great, that kind of thing.
Andrew had a couple concerns here. I don't know that we need all of the questions on the chief per se. I don't want to make it sound like we're doing a survey on the chief only. We're looking at everything from the board to the newest hire. What I would like to see is some type of question wordsmith so that you're comfortable with it, but are people comfortable going over superior's head if they feel like questions aren't being answered or they're uncomfortable with their superior? I know we don't have an open door policy per se, we're a little bit militaristic, and I understand the reasons why, but I feel like people should feel very comfortable going over superior's head if need be.
So 29, is that like a question you would like expanded upon?
You go back to it. Yes, I would definitely like to expand because they might be comfortable talking about work problems, but they might not be comfortable talking about the supervisor himself.
So if they're having trouble with their immediate supervisor, you want to know if they're
Yeah,
comfortable going.
yeah.
And I realize the letter was from Paul, but I guess the routing, I'd like some clarification on the rationale behind the routing of the results. So the results literally are taking the organization out of it and sending it to you, as I understand.
And I guess I don't have that same concern as Paul. I'm not opposed to it, but either way, the question is going to go to yourself, chief. Nothing's going to be hidden from you, and we would expect the same in turn. You wouldn't hide anything from us as a board, so I'm very comfortable with it being given to us all at the same time. That's me personally.
Yeah.
Can I ask just a clarifying question? Paul's email actually answered most of the questions I was going to ask, but one thing I wanted to clarify, I know the survey results will be anonymous, so firefighter names won't be attached to it. Does the board want to see each individual response, or do you want to see aggregated and summarized responses? So let's say you had, how many firefighters were in a shift-ish? 30. So do you want to see 30 individual responses for the shift, or do you want, say, Andrea to read 30 responses and then summarize them and you get one aggregate?
We're talking about how they check the box or a comment.
Both.
I think I'd like to see all comments.
Individual comments?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I'm comfortable with an aggregate number, like, 9 out of 10 are comfortable.
75% said
Yeah,
yes,
Yeah.
and 25% said no, but you'd like to see each individual comment without
Yeah.
the name attached.
and having said that, as much as we can, and realize we don't get involved in the day-to-day things with personnel, but if we have problem areas, there's some way, for instance, that we can see where our problems are. You might have, for instance, 4 stations that are happy as could be and 1 station where they're very unhappy. I think that would be important to know.
And
I
is
mean,
that?
if all your questions, if all your concerns are coming from one area, I would think the chief would want to know that as well. I mean, not just us as a board, but I would think the staff would want to say, we got a problem at station 12. We don't have a 12, right?
We got a real problem there.
Yeah,
I'll get right on it.
yeah.
Someone's showing up to work.
And is just so we can help explain this to employees, the amount of information that the board is going to receive is the reason you want to see, for instance, a specific, we won't get down to the station, but we can get down to the shift.
Yeah,
Is the reason you want to see that is to make sure that the fire chief is holding his staff accountable, or because you won't be able to do anything about the shift employees because you don't direct the work of the employees, right?
well, as a board, I guess there was 2 goals that we have. One, we want firefighter employees, staff, everybody to know we care, number 1. Number 2, this is a tool to make us a better fire authority. Where can we better serve employees? I mean, if there's problems out there, how do we know unless we send out some type of an anonymous survey? People are gonna feel very comfortable coming forward, knowing that We're doing it because we're not looking for problems, but we're looking to make this a better place.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
from a staff standpoint, one of the things that as the city has done these kind of surveys over the years, it's really been confidentiality of the staff has been paramount. Because if they don't feel that it's confidential, they aren't going to participate. So, I'd like to, Miss Wright to chime in, but really from my standpoint that I'd like to share with the board. Another option was that you as a policy group, we should stay up here as long as we can, not go deep. And so you can aggregate it first, right? Hey, there's the aggregate, those kinds of things. And then we can find if there's themes that will come out of it, and there will be themes, then we as a board could ask more questions, if you will. Because if we're up here at this level, then we could, then there may not be any red flags at all. If there are some red flags, we can ask staff for some more information, those kinds of things. But I think the piece for us is that we really want maximum participation, not come across as the board's drilling down too far at this point. And I would suggest that we, in this case, we stay there. I hear what you're saying, and it's an important role for the board. But my 2 cents would be, let's stay high right now. If we at board have to drill, then we can, but let's not go deep right away.
This is not to disagree, and I'm not sure I fully understand what the differences would be, but we've had these other surveys in the past that the chief and Andrew referred to, and we feel like those are more broad in nature. And I don't know if we're trying to drill down, so to speak, but we want to make sure everybody has an opportunity now to say if they feel there are any problems in the department. We want to know the board, we want the chief to know, and we want to know how we go about addressing their concerns. So for instance, we have heard people are afraid to go over their supervisor's head. They don't want to go in and sit down with the chief because they're afraid a captain or a battalion chief or somebody else will take retribution towards them. We don't know that, but I think it's beneficial and this won't happen, but if 75% of the firefighters came back and said, I'm afraid to go over my supervisor's head, we need to know that.
I think that brings to my question, which is the tool itself. You get high level results, I would imagine. And if we get a 99% in leadership and a 45% in supervision, can we drill down that particular category as far as we need to, want to?
You mean by question and?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and
I
we
call them
also.
categories, actually. I'm looking at categories, and if it's a poor score,
Mhm.
one might choose to go down and see what the.
Yeah, we can attach metrics to specific questions. And so that way we can have all the ones that apply to leadership attached to that, and then you guys would get that overall score. And if there's an issue, yes, we can drill down, and we have access to the survey tool now, so we can do smaller surveys if we see there is an issue, something.
There's a couple of ideas, and I don't know what your other survey looks like, so I don't know if we've been covered. But maybe a question, my personal boundaries are respected. And then the second one, appropriate precautions are taken and equipment provided to protect my immediate and long-term health.
Appropriate precautions.
Yeah, appropriate precautions are taken and equipment is provided to protect my immediate and long-term.
I believe those are in the front line, but
I don't know.
General safety and.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think there's some wordsmithing that we can do.
And Andrew, do we have something in there that specifically addresses like sex discrimination and affirmative action? Like I'm comfortable being a minority working in this department. I'm comfortable with being a woman and I'm respected in, that type of stuff.
those are all in the front line.
Okay.
I know what I was getting at with boundaries too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
Yeah. And I love the idea of the open questions at the end for what it's worth. I mean, I think, again, I want everyone to hear, we're doing this because we care. And here's our opportunity to tell us what we can do to better serve the department.
So I,
How many employees take the survey?
excuse me,
How many employees?
all of them, we sent it to all of them.
What's the total?
21.
That's large enough.
And I do want to go back to some of the, and be very clear and transparent of who will have access to the information in the survey from, because I heard Paul say that he wants the information to go directly to the board. And so I have any authorized staff in HR will have access to employee responses. And so it is confidential, it is not anonymous. So again, the perk of going through UKG is that it will gather the person's position, how long they've been at the department, who their supervisor is. So we can filter that information. So if I wanted to, I could drill down and go see all that information. Frankly, I'm not even learning how to do that and I don't want to. So I'm the only one right now that would have access to that. So it is confidential, but again, not completely anonymous. Because that information is in there.
If I could just share, this is difficult. This is really difficult. We want to support the request 100%. The difficulty here is the more you open it up, we got to convey that to the employees because this is one tool of information gathering. What we can't have is one tool, this tool, Frontline, or any other tools compromising their concern about trust and integrity within the organization. So that's why we're trying to navigate this, not in any way, shape, or form to be hesitant about it. I have shared this, I've shared this with the board. Well, ask as many questions as you want, just understand that we have to be able to convince the employees that their information is gonna end up here, and these are the eyes that are gonna see it. They have to understand that. If we bust that integrity, you get one shot at that. I totally respect that process.
Question on that, you say you can drill down and be like, you could look at specifically, he sent in something or by fire station or. Why do we need that ability to even do that? I'd rather not have that ability than have anybody feel like this is not anonymous.
For the same reasons you mentioned it,
Mhm.
you don't want the capability.
No, I don't want it.
And I realize we can't be perfect and hopefully all employees know that this isn't perfect. Again, the message is, we care, we want to hear from.
I mean, it's the same as I have access to a lot of information, doesn't mean I go look at it all the time, ever. So, I mean, that's my job in HR is to keep things in confidence and make sure people are treated fairly and respectfully at work. And that's what I do, and I do it well. So that is the expectation with this too, but in order to get the information that you're wanting, by shift, by position, that it's confidential, but not 100% anonymous.
I'd like to ask for feedback from the staff, all three chiefs. I mean, how do you feel about this and how do you think the troops are gonna respond to this? I mean, are they gonna feel like this is confidential and open up and be honest and?
I think part of it is parameters of the program that we're using in the city. Unless we find a different tool. At a cost and exercise and all that, it's all another approach. But to your question, there's gonna be some that aren't comfortable. It's just the nature of the game, but surveys can be challenging in general.
Is there any way to have a box that they would check and I'm okay having this released to the board or I'm not okay?
That would scare me. If I saw that box, I said, but that's just,
Well, when I was talking to employees about the city one, some assumed that the council got to see it. And others didn't want.
If I could, so the frontline survey, I did ask that question. I asked that in our presentation, Andrea, myself, and Dr. Richards presented the results of the frontline to the employees. In the format that it was presented, I asked, or we asked collectively, how do you feel about this? Number one, I don't like it. Number one, I don't like the format in which it's being presented. It's not presenting LFRA. And that was feedback that we received directly from the employees. And I value that. And I think if we're going to convey a message to you that is representative of them and their personal opinions of the organization, we need to take that into consideration. And that's literally what we did. So we presented it, and then we represented it in the format that you received, and that's why you received it in the format that you did, was directly from the employees.
I think there's always a group of people that are gonna be cautious, what's really gonna happen with the results, who's gonna do what with the results, that's just human nature. I have another group of people in the organization that aren't gonna probably think twice about it and fill out the survey and send it in, so I think it's gonna be kind of a mixed bag. We probably won't get 121 results. I thought the frontline survey was actually pretty decent. And I think for the first opportunity of being able to do that with trying to hone that in better, I think we're gonna get closer and closer to what you're looking at or looking for. And then not putting Andrea in the position of using EKG and that always being in the back of the employees' minds, that if we wanted to, somebody in this organization could dig into that and figure out who said what. So that's I think something that the frontline one takes that out of our hands, to my knowledge of it. I don't know it as well as you, Chief. Takes that out of our hands, so we can't do that.
And this is the city's does this the same way. It's confidential, but it's not anonymous. There's one or two people in HR that can.
There's like,
Yeah.
it's not even the
Stacy.
director.
Yeah, no, it's not. So there's only one that can do that. And I can certainly send it out. So one of my HR staff is the one that has it and it's not me. And that's fine as well. But someone could have access to it. And to tag on, I think it is the nature of surveys. People can be very uncomfortable with them. What we heard with the frontline results when we were doing those is people were very hesitant in the frontline results, but once they saw how the information was presented and what we did with it, we got so many comments that they felt better about it. And I'm thinking that will be the trajectory of this survey as well. There might be some people who are hesitant in the beginning, but I think once they see how it's presented, who it goes to, what's done with the information, that we are going to act upon things that come up in it. I don't want to just do the survey and leave it sitting there. We need to actually have some action items that come from it. I think over time, people will get more comfortable with it.
can they refuse to take it? I mean, in a nice way, refuse to take it.
They don't have to,
Okay.
it's completely their call.
Yeah.
If I can, so Chief, your team, yeah, are you, what we're talking about here and do you guys have, I think the questions are great. Clearly a lot of these questions, just to get caught up, were the chief questions developed by staff, or is that, you guys put those in there?
Yeah, and I'm part of the guilty party here. I asked Andrea, because I report to you, I think I want to make that clear. And I said, I want it very pointed on me. If they have questions about me, put the opportunity there. The chairman and I had spoken that it's probably a little too heavy on me, but I wanted that to be a decision that you all made as opposed to internal. That makes sense.
Okay. So if I can pull that string a little more.
Sure.
So are you thinking that we kind of like, from a board standpoint, kind of identify from on the chief's piece here of which ones we think out of this tranche that we think should go forward? If it's not the entire list, which ones do we want to go forward? And do you have, Mr. Chair, do you have a recommendation? Since you have the most history, sitting at the table with us today on this particular piece.
It's a great question, Rod. I think some of the questions are a little bit redundant, and I would leave that probably to HR to recommend that we narrow it down to, maybe 3 questions or something, and, that catches what we're looking for here. This is, again, a tool for the chief as well. I mean, he came in and he took on responsibility of a culture that's been here for many, many years. I mean, I would imagine he wants to know as bad as we want to know, is everybody happy with the direction we're going?
Every day, so.
I don't know if I answered that question. I guess I danced.
No, you did. No, it's like, no, absolutely. I, refer to the staff to say, hey, take a look at these and give us 3 or 4 instead of, 7 or whatever there are.
Yeah, we get too many questions. I think it's hard to work with. Give us something we can work with and.
The other thing Paul mentioned was that the results go to the board before they go to the fire chief. Is that?
I don't see the importance of that.
Just as long as you're getting the information.
Yeah, I guess it's unfair to Paul. He's not here to talk about it. Whether Chiefs on the front end, the back end, or with us, I mean, I don't think it matters. It's not a witch hunt.
And he wanted also that it be notified, we notify respondents that the survey was requested by the LFRA board. Is that correct? Is that one of them too?
Yeah, and I think they know that. Would you agree with that, staff? Board knows that we're having these conversations.
I have shared that.
Yeah,
I mean, I keep describing it as a 360, and Andrew is very quick to. I mean, employee engagement survey is what it needs to be termed. So while we're
Yeah.
using Paul's, and he needs to understand it, that's not a correct description of it. So,
yeah.
but other than that, yeah, they're.
This is probably our first meeting. We haven't had half dozen firefighters in here to hear our conversations on this. No offense, chief.
We do have that. That's something.
Oh, good.
Station.
Can Craig talk? No.
Hearing.
Craig, we're reading your question now. Give us 1 second. I guarantee it.
Okay,
Craig, we're acknowledging your question. Sorry you're not able to speak. Actually, yeah, you wanna, Craig, we're gonna give you a chance to speak here. You're good with that? See your hand, there you go. Go ahead, Craig.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Well, if you're not aware, the union does a survey every 2 years, and we have a lot of questions about anonymity and how those questions might find their way out of the union members. And a lot of people really rely on their ability to be anonymous when they answer questions in depth and honestly. So based on my experience with our surveys, I would suggest anonymity, even if you have to go through another company.
Lieutenant, can you
Yes,
hear me? Were you here when I was talking to Andrea about maybe we need to make some sacrifices to keep it totally anonymous. Again, our concern certainly is in Andrea or the HR people. Our concern is making everybody comfortable taking this. But at the same time, we wouldn't be able to drill down if need be to find out where our problem areas are. Can you weigh in on your thoughts there?
Yeah, I did hear all of that, and then I heard that Andrea said that she could, if she wanted to, get down to information that would identify who the people are that made those comments. If people find that out, they won't answer the way that you're looking for. So if that's a thing that you can't eliminate with the program that we're going to use, then we probably shouldn't use that program.
Thank
And
you.
there are a lot of other programs or companies that can do that same data collection and drilling down without losing that information, or gaining that information, I guess is a better way to put it.
I do want to be clear that kind of modeling this somewhat what the city has gone through as well. And we can mark it as anonymous. We just would not get all that demographic information and the metadata stuff, you know. If we want to do, you know, what age range or what positions, or are they on shift, are they not on shift?
Yeah,
The divisions.
and that's, I'm sorry, Andrew, to the point, then it becomes unclear to you as to where the problem is. Now you're shooting in the dark. The barrel just got so big, you can't even figure out where the problem is. So the point now is the survey even make any sense? So let's just say somebody without some sort of data to kind of channel it, it's 121 people. There's somebody said this, but we can't do any corrective action, as I understand it. Based on what you
Yeah, I wouldn't rule down to the person, but for instance, if Chief Stark, we learn something's going on his shift, at least we can give him that information, not who said what, because we wouldn't be looking at that. But we could tell him, you know, what, you got a score of 2 on communication. So we need to work on that.
Andrew, I guess my concern, to me, the anonymity part is more important than drilling down. Maybe that's part of what you were talking about, Rod. I'd like to get a feel for the department as a whole. I mean, we might not even need to drill down anywhere. That'd be my hope. At the same time, we might, but if we got a problem and, you know, it comes back and says 50% of people aren't comfortable with leadership, then we need to start drilling down. But I'd like to know if we got a problem, which I don't think we do, but I want to know. And that was the whole intent of the board when we started these conversations. Are employees happy? Do they feel like this is an atmosphere they can speak their concerns and not have to worry about retribution?
Yes, so I would say if you all do not want any of that information attached to it, then yes, it could be anonymous.
Mayor, what's your thoughts?
Well, I get the point that you need to have some context of where they're seeing problems or where they're, without context, it doesn't have anything. Yeah. You can't solve the problem because you don't know what it is.
So,
To me, it's a balancing act. On one hand, we know we have a problem. On the other one, we have a problem, but we don't know where it is. I think I want to know, first of all, if we even have a problem. So
Yeah.
we take one step at a time. Let's find out if we have a problem. Maybe we don't even have a problem. Then if we do, address it at that point, then start drilling down. And employees will have to understand if there's a problem. I mean, we're only gonna do this problem. If there's a problem, employees are gonna have to hear loud and clear. You need to speak up. You need to trust us. We're doing this because we care. We're not wasting a bunch of money, you know, taking up valuable time of staff and everybody else just to go through an exercise. My concern is we don't get actual results back. It's like Craig said, if they don't trust us, we're wasting our time.
Well, I guess I'm hearing loud and clear that anonymous is the most important thing. And if that's the case, you're gonna have to address it by turning it off. And make sure everybody understands we can drill down. And if we have a category that comes up poor, then we know we got a problem. And whether it be with the survey or other means, we gotta figure out problem and cause. I'm with you. I don't think we're gonna have a ton of bad categories. But if we do come up with one, we may have to plan on how to get to it. That's all. It's clear to me if we want it to be unanimous, we might as well not even.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I can make a recommendation, so we have two tools. So if we went with this and we did the anonymous, it could be a general survey without specifics, which is fine. If we can couple that with the results of the frontline survey, so now you have two tools to at least kind of compare and contrast and pick up some of the other categories that are not covered here. If that's the presentation to you, I think you got a more holistic view of where we are and potentially where the problems are. That makes sense.
Do the categories kind of mesh?
At times they do, but what Andrea intentionally did is trying to eliminate excessive overlap. At some point, we all would be part of this, where the employee's just like, you already asked me this once, and it gets to be an exhaustive process.
What percentage responded on the front line?
100%. Well, we had three who there's a test question in there. Not that you have to study for it, but if you are not paying attention and you're just going CCC, it catches you. So there were three that those survey results were thrown out.
I got through high school doing that. I don't understand the problem.
You're not, let's just say.
And I think another thing too, to comment on your point, but if we do get to the point where we do want to go the confidential route for something, and I can certainly have one of my staff who doesn't do employee relations stuff, because I mean Stacy is. It does it now, though, doesn't she? Employee relations. Anyway, but I can have somebody that's not involved in that type of HR stuff have access to it rather than me, if that would make people feel better too. So there's options.
I don't feel we want to go there because you're as important as everybody else. We want to send you a message. You're not trusted.
But I mean, it is important for everyone to feel
Yeah,
they can be candid in the survey.
yeah.
I just want to be able to do something with the information. I don't want it to be a futile effort. And with the frontline data, we were kind of left wondering like, what do we do? Where's the problem? So. That's it.
Well, even, I appreciate the numbers and we don't, I understand the chief's point about survey fatigue, if you will. But the need for the board to get more information, in this area, but I would hate to do another survey and not get the information the board wants. Right, so if you do, what I'm hearing, if you do anonymous, it's not really gonna get the information that this board wants. And so maybe it's messaging, maybe it's however, the leadership team here wants to address that. And we can certainly, with your leadership, Mr. Chair, lean in and message to the employees. But maybe we do need to drill, get the information that we need, that the board needs right now in this space. So, as an example, even if, you might have got, 90-some% the last time, but if you do it this way, you get 80%, that's still a good number. That will tell a story as an example, right? So I would just throw that out there is because, anyway, I just don't want us to do this and then not get what you wanted and yeah.
I think what the board's been asking for more than anything, and it's unfair to you because you haven't been here, is this anonymity piece. I mean, we have heard over and over that people are afraid to speak up, that they don't trust the front lines, that was called frontline or survey that's been done in the past. And of course, maybe we're just hearing from a small vocal minority, but nonetheless, we want to put it to bed. If there's a problem out there, the big problem is we want to know what it is. And then we can drill down from there.
Can I just clarify what you've received information that someone said that they didn't feel like the frontline survey was trustworthy?
Yeah.
So I'll just kind of.
And again, we don't go out looking for it, chief. I think you know that. Just,
Absolutely.
it comes up in a conversation like,
And I would say this, I mean, trust is a two-way street. You know, if an employee comes to a board member sharing it with me, I have an obligation to kind of look into it. There's another avenue. Now, what I don't want, and I want to be very clear on this, because we've had issues with this in the past of an employee interacting with a board member. There's a fine line there. There's a very fine line there. I work for you, the employees work for me. We just got to remember that where it starts to become personnel issues, that's my responsibility, and you hold me accountable to run the organization. We just got to know where that line is. But wherever we can get the information, I'm open to get the information. But that's the first time I'd ever heard that. So that's news to me, and if it's actionable, I'm willing to.
well, it shouldn't be news, because that's the whole reason we've been asking for another survey. Other than that, the previous board, I mean, was not comfortable with it. And I'm the only person here defending past board's decisions and conversations. I'm in an awkward position. But I gotta tell you, as a board, we have felt very uncomfortable that we don't know what's going on out there, and we wanted to know. I mean, is that a newsflash to anybody in this room? Is it something that we haven't discussed, that we want to know if people are comfortable bringing problems forward and feel like they won't be retaliated against? I know if Paul was there, he'd be echoing me. And again, it's not Paul, it's not me. I mean, it was all the board members. We've all talked about this. This is the direction we're going, we've been talking about this since like last September.
City employees, we have that same feeling among some city employees.
Yeah. And I don't think we should be afraid of it. I'm afraid we're making it too big a deal of it. Let's get this survey done. Let's make it happen so we can move on. We can put all this behind us, say, we listened to you, we responded, here's the results.
We're happy to do that. I mean, the entire executive staff is here, and you won't see any resistance. And I don't have a heavy hand on any of them to say, hey, you're not going to resist. Let us know. We're willing to open book. So we'll make it happen. So we'll make the adjustments and maybe come back with another draft pretty quickly. I mean,
Let me ask this. Is everybody comfortable? First of all, number one priority is anonymity. I mean, I'd like to have 100% respond on this thing. So I'm willing to sacrifice everything else so that nobody feels like we can drill down and know who they are. The second piece is, been going on since last September again. Let's make this happen. And Andrew, we got trust in you and the staff. You guys put these questions together. I think you've heard from us what we need. Put it together. Let's make this happen. Then we can talk about something good.
So if you made this a physical questionnaire that had no identifying things, and then it was turned into you and you entered it into the database, then there's complete protection.
There is with the anonymous one as well.
Okay, I thought you were saying that you could drill
No,
down. Okay.
confidential,
Yeah.
I can't. Anonymous.
Oh, okay,
cannot.
all right, go anonymous.
Yeah.
Andrea, I might suggest when you prepare your next draft, not only to prepare a draft of the questions, but a draft of the message that will go to employees. That way the board can see both and make sure that what is being communicated is what they intended. Thank you.
Does the board want to vote on this again, on what she puts together, or could we do something that might move the process further, like just send it out to us, look for feedback. If you didn't hear feedback, let's make it happen. Or do you want to put it off another month?
You're asking, do we want to see it?
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm okay. I don't need to see it again.
Chief, are you okay with that?
You want us to launch it, we're ready.
We want you to launch it.
All right, we'll be done.
That's,
So you do not want to see the questions or the draft message?
I'm not saying I don't want to see it. That sounds wrong. What I'm saying is I trust you.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what we want to do, right?
So you don't need this to be brought back to the next board meeting?
No, no. And Krista, we want you to take it. Andrew, we want you to take it. Fraser, we want you to take it.
Chief, are you gonna take it?
I will take it.
Only that's an honest.
I might sway a little bit.
Might write comments in there, the board chairs and ask.
There is a writing.
Mr. Shaw, I think, I appreciate that, even just the conversation here. I think we need to launch this. There's that saying, don't let perfect be the evil of good.
Yeah.
And it's good. Let's get it out there. Let's get the feedback. Let's roll.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Our intent is good. It goes back to the trust you're talking about.
Yeah.
We're trusting you and your staff and employees, and hopefully they trust us, and that's what this is all about.
Good.
Okay.
Okay,
Clear direction, you good?
I
Got it?
Yes, I have clear direction. One follow-up. Do I need to follow up with Director Bukowski, or do you want to?
I'll talk to Paul. Feel free to do it. I mean, but yeah.
I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Okay.
All right, thank you, everyone. I know it's a difficult conversation. It's an uncomfortable thing to talk about for everybody. Been in the business world. I know, John, you've been out there. We've all dealt with these. Some people see them as career threatening. Other people say it's a waste of time. There's a whole lot of different thoughts about it, but it's a necessary evil. Okay, Chief, what else do we have?
I think it's transitions over to me real quick.
Okay, it's all yours.
Fraser's gonna put it up for you.
Oh,
Just one second. We're trying to work through these technological keys. All right, Mr. Chairman, we also go ahead. This is not in your board packet because this actually happened yesterday. But I thought it was important enough. I know the chairman knows this, but this is more directed towards the rural board. Our Storm Mountain community was concerned at one point about the number of trained personnel that we have in the Storm Mountain area. These two gentlemen just went through their emergency medical responder program. They did that with Pinewood Springs Fire Department, earned their certifications. So we have more people up there trained than we've ever had before, at the medical level as well as the fire level. I will tell you, the email that I received from Mr. Smith was pretty cool. In the fact that he is encouraged by the direction that we're going, excited to be part of this organization, and very excited to serve in the capacity that he's taking on. So these are two young gentlemen that are very energetic and part of our volunteer force. So congratulations to both of them. So we mentioned Lieutenant D. Decker. Like I said, we'll bring him back in person and recognize him when he has the award in hand. And he was nominated, I should say, he was nominated by Battalion Chief Eric Class, seconded by Assistant Chief Ward. This is a thank you letter, and actually we received a donation from this individual. The firefighters don't necessarily like me for this, but this is another smoke detector installation. The reason they don't like it is because I emphasize it so much. And in all fairness, we had somebody asking us to change light bulbs. the other day. And I'll tell you, we'll move mountains for our community, but there are some things that fall outside of our parameters. So we also had somebody, 21 feet in the air, had a smoke detector that probably should not have been installed in this, but it is within code. So it was a challenge to address that. You're pointing to that.
So yeah, the high smoke alarm. Meaning, you know, the installing a very high smoke alarm.
They're very high. I think there are different definitions of this. I think Chief Ward, Chief Smith, and I probably seen the highest one we've ever seen installed within a residence. And I think it was Chief Stark. Chief Stark was part of that. Yeah, it's pretty extreme. A 24-foot extension ladder in a home to change that. So, but we do draw the line. We're not going to change light bulbs.
Chief, don't question on that.
Since you're up there.
Exactly. Just do landscaping. Yeah.
Just funny.
This is a dumb question, and naive question both. Why do we allow people to put smoke alarms 20 feet up in there? And I realize that's where the smoke's going, but it just seems like you could put one where people could access it easier.
Yeah, I mean, we've all experienced this. First of all, they go off at 2:30 in the morning for everybody,
Always.
including the fire chief. It's actually part of the kiddos algorithm. I'm kidding. But we checked that. That smoke alarm is actually appropriately installed at that location. You gotta be a certain distance from the ceiling. There's a pocket where smoke does not typically get trapped. But that's one of the things we asked, was it properly installed? And it's actually near Chief Ward's house. There's a series of these duplexes that will eventually be this issue. So, yeah. And I think Chief Danny even said it, that they are reviewing installation of smoke alarms or smoke detectors, and some of the research on, you know, is a better placement or detection of buildings. We change it once tomorrow.
I know for a fact there's been at least one pulled out of the wall that went off at 2 in the morning.
I know there's more than one person in this room that's pulled them off, and I won't.
But my point being, now there's no smoke alarm in it. And if we put them in a place where people could better access them, and even when you get to them, trying to get those batteries out and get them back in the way they're designed, it's like, how do we piss this customer off?
Mr. Chairman, should we send engine 47 to your house to help you?
I didn't say that.
So personally.
That was a lot of detail. For somebody that couldn't do it. This next picture, actually, the chairman recognized this location. We were there yesterday. But this is not any of our direct employees, but if you see the gentleman in the back, I think it's kind of important that we have one of our prime mechanics featured there, and his daughter, who is Miss Valentine. I didn't know if everybody knew that, but a pretty proud moment, not only for our community, but certainly the LFRA family. So. And that's just one of the ventures. She also got to meet the governor and all those other things that come with that position. I shared this, or wanted to share this with you because this is one of the things. I said it when I got here, that the LFRA wouldn't impede development of our community through the inspection process. But here's an interesting thing that many communities would say, no, this is not appropriate. And many fire marshals would probably intervene in this. We deem this absolutely safe. This is literally a switch. The gentleman that brought this to our community went over the safety features with me before it was lit. And I gotta tell you, number one, I was impressed that he took me through every single step. Not that I was gonna be operating it, but this just, to me, shows that the LFRA is about the community and that we're willing to look at things with an open eye and give proper consideration to things that are entertaining and the wow factor. It is kind of cool. He had to tell me it was an owl, though. I gotta say, see the owl, but this is another one you've seen us or heard about this quite a bit in January, and I see Chief Carmesino's in the back are driving this hard. I want to continue to push this heart safe community. If you come in through the entry points of our community, you see these signs. I want these signs to start representing something, a higher save rate in cardiac arrest community. Right now, we're still working on that, increasing CPR training throughout our community, FOTS training. throughout our community, and then AEDs, public access AEDs with people who will operate them. So we were down there, and this was a joint venture, and I give Chief Carmesino and January credit for this because they brought LPD in, they brought Thompson Valley in, and our partners in this, McKee Wellness Foundation was there as well. So it was a true community effort. We were there. Thank you, Mayor and Counselor, for the opportunity to be there for the proclamation. The lady on, you all know this. You all were there, so I'm speaking to the choir here. This was one of two proclamations that we received that night, or were part of, with our partners at LPD and Thompson Valley EMS. This Restoration Ranch, for the chairman, if you're not aware of this, she has a ranch that she opens up to first responders only, who may be going through some issues. This is their ability to kind of restore themselves in hopes to.
Is the lady down in Denver area?
Is it?
Yeah,
I'm not sure where the ranch is.
yeah. I read about her in Prairie Herald.
Yes, that is her. And she's expanding that, so I think it's gonna go nationwide.
Her husband or something died or.
Yes, he
Yeah.
got killed in a pursuit. He wasn't involved in the pursuit, but was struck by the officer in the pursuit. So.
Did you get any feedback from the rank and file? Did this get any feedback at all?
Well, you know, that's kind of a personal thing for, you know, if somebody does use something like that, I mean, it's not something that they typically would share that, whether it's any type of behavioral health or mental health, those things are pretty confidential on their own.
Okay, I just want to,
Yeah.
got any mileage out of it, you know? Good.
It would be interesting to know how much, even on a national level, how much traffic comes through there. I don't know. The other proclamation and to the right is Kara, who is with the McKee Wellness Foundation, and to her credit, and the chairman was there, we will receive 14 AEDs. All of those AEDs will be placed in staff vehicles. And the point here, why staff vehicles? Obviously, our first response apparatus has them, but the objective is anything marked with the LFRA has the ability to render aid. So we're going to make sure all of our personnel are trained through the FOX program to include AED and CPR. So if we see it, we can act upon it. We have the tools to support us in that endeavor. So,
Jim, just a quick note, the lady that gave us a lot of the money for that, interesting last name, Hart, Laura Hart. I think everybody knows her. She's a nice lady. She's kind of like Mrs. Goodhart that escorts Miss Valentine. I mean, it's almost like we pick people with the name Hart. Whoa, you
but
know.
hers is spelled H-A-R-T.
Yes, HRT. Yeah.
I just wanted to recognize too, we talked about the fatal fire on December 23rd. We did do that fire blitz, which we took and did door hangers throughout that community. We got 3 responses. We did follow up installation on at least three. I don't know how many were per residence, but 3 residents were inspected and then installation. So it worked, and we were able to give information to that immediate community as to what the event was and the outcome. So. And I'm just, those 2 were there at Home Depot. Home Depot did donate those smoke alarms. This is just members of our community participating in the FOX program. This is a joint endeavor with Thompson Valley EMS, and again, Chief Carmesino in January, as well as Captain Anderson are kind of spearheading that project. So you can see there is some realism to it. That is a mannequin. We didn't shoot anybody or put blood on them. So I also wanted to recognize Christy, the positions that the rural board has approved for us. We are in that active hiring process, but I think Christy's allowed us to take it to the next level with some of our marketing. So I wanted to recognize her efforts for that. So these 3 positions are currently out there. So pretty excited about that. Definitely getting some true attention to those positions. So
Does Christie, I'm not familiar with Christie. Did she do
Christy's sitting right there.
Oh, that Christie. So do you do all the social media or?
I do.
That's fantastic. You do a great job.
Thank you.
Yes, she did.
I have a lot of help with submittals and things like that from actual line personnel when they go to events and things. They submit the narratives and the photos, and then we get them on social media.
Great job. Thanks.
So this is just some quick photos of something that we do. Every recruit that comes into the organization, obviously, they're gonna transition into a different lifestyle. Once they go to shift work and throughout that 15-week academy. When we bring the families in, we introduce them to the executive staff and the chief officers throughout the organization. And it's an opportunity for us to engage with the family members and kind of answer their questions. And then we get to meet their family too. We truly believe that this is a family effort. Everybody has to be all in. Otherwise, the employee is not successful and ultimately service is compromised. So it was a great event. What was interesting is, in this case, the most talkative person in the room was the mother of one of the firefighters, as opposed to the wife or anybody else. But we entertained all of it, and it was good. It was good. So, yeah, we also had a little carving of the cake by a youngster. Not with a knife, though. It was carved in a different format. This is a pretty proud photo here. This is at the Forge, which again, I cannot express our appreciation enough for the Forge, Dan and his team allowing us to use this facility. This is 45 recruits made up of 10 different agencies. There are 12 within the FRFC. There are 10 represented within this recruit class of varying levels. I think most of them, you see there, Mountain View on the left. I think they have 13 in this academy. We have 3 in the academy. This was their very first day. So it's introductions. You see they're all wearing something different. That no longer is the case. They're now a team. They all wear something consistently to represent the team itself. So had the opportunity to meet them, a good group, very excited to welcome you to graduation in May. So. All right.
Mountain View replacing or growing?
They are growing. There is some attrition, but I think they are opening an additional fire station as well. So, or backfilling a fire station.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta ask a business question. Does that pay for itself?
What's that?
The last slide, the recruiting class.
Yeah, great question. So what happens is we put up money up front and then we earn that money back through apparatus, the facility, and personnel. So each of our people that teach there, yes, we pay them a wage, but we also receive credit. So let's just say $14,200 is the entry to get a recruit in there. We start to dwindle that figure back with our contributions. So when they use our facility, we don't charge for the Forge, even though we're the ones that got it. We don't charge for that. But if they use our classroom, they use our burn building, they use our training grounds, we receive credit for that. The question that oftentimes come up, can we make enough money to offset the expenses at the training center? I'd be lying to you if I shared that. No. I mean, it is a nominal fee. It maintains the maintenance of that facility. So if we're wearing out carpets through an FRFC academy, we have some means of reimbursing that. So, okay, thank you. Yeah. The other thing is this is a 3-person academy for us. For them to be jointly engaged with 42 others is an incredible opportunity, because standardization in a high stress situation across multiple entities serves us incredibly well. And that's the objective of the FRC, standardize the region as opposed to having individual departments acting in a rogue fashion. So. All right, last couple items for me. The Sweetheart Festival we participated in, the LFRA Day at the Capitol, we had that yesterday. And I understand that everybody wasn't able to make that. I sent it out just to let you know. I thought it was a incredibly nice gesture of the representative. I think we all had a good time. We got the behind the scenes tour, which is great. And got a little shout out on social media as well from him. So LFRA, the board retreat, or not retreat, what we called it? We called it a workshop. Did you want to share anything on that?
I think everybody in the room was there, so probably not much I could add to it. Was there anybody in here that wasn't there? I thought it was a success. I think we've got the ball rolling. It was nice to have everybody involved, both boards, and Chief and I talked about it just as recently as yesterday. We hope to have this subcommittee up and running and recommendations being made to us so that we can start doing what needs to be done to get the voters to support us and form a district. Yeah, we're all in agreement, I guess is the important thing that came out. We're all in agreement. This is the direction we're going. This is what we want to be. This is what's win-win for the department, the city, the community, the rural, everybody involved.
And I just want to echo that. I appreciate everybody's participation. Emily, thank you so much for putting it together. I think the added detail that you added to this presentation was well received and really put us in a better direction to understand it. So thank you.
My project this Saturday is actually to draft what we call the skeleton IGA. So I will be working on that this weekend. I will get it to Chief, to Linda, and to Vince to make initial changes or comments, and then we will bring it back to the board in March. We've invited the rural district to attend that meeting as well. Certainly, if anybody else from the city wants to come, as long as you're happy posting it as a public meeting, that will be a good time to look at that initial draft.
That's March 23rd. We'll have a financial analysis with that. So it's a March 23rd meeting. And that is bringing both groups together.
March 27th.
27th?
Yeah.
My apologies.
March 23rd is a Saturday. It could be.
And one thing Chief and I talked about yesterday was the makeup of the committee, and if anybody in here feels they would like to be on it, please let the chief know. This is gonna be an important committee. I mean, this is gonna make things happen. And we know, Mayor John, you are very, very busy, but if one of you or both of you, whatever, can be involved in it.
Yeah, I think it'd be good.
Yeah,
There you go. All right.
thank you.
Thank you. Lita, I had the opportunity to attend the Lita strategic planning process. I did follow up with Director Wensing from the city representation side of it. I will just tell you, we're having some conversations, and I'll continue to provide you some feedback on that. The discussion of regionalized communications came up. And I think it's an important topic. It's an incredibly important topic. There's a lot of things happening at LEDA. Most people don't know LEDA's role, but there is a degree of conduit that is provided to LEDA. I think the important part for us is some of the transition that's occurring with LEDA. LEDA is out there just above Chief Parmasino's office. The second floor represents LEDA, not the entire building. The EOC's first floor, second floor is LEDA. LEDA is making plans to transition out of that building to a building south. They'll set up their shop there, which is being proposed as a potential site for a regional communications facility, bringing entities together. Now, there are a lot of things when you start talking about that, people get very nervous. Are we going to lose people? Are we going to lose jobs? I'm not going to support anything that loses people, but there are some challenges that we currently face. And some of those challenges, every single PSAP, and we have 6, obviously Loveland's Communication Center, Fort Collins has one, the sheriff has one, Estes has one, CSU has one, and then Jackson County is another one. So there are 6 entities, all of which are struggling with staffing issues. I don't think doing the same thing over and over again is the answer to solving your staffing issues. So regionalization as a potential study makes sense. So that's the conversation that is being had. Nobody's advocating regionalization. It's just, should we study it? So there's some win-wins. Now, why did I share that LEDA is moving out of that facility? Because they're vacating it for DFPC, the state fire prevention and control, to take over that second floor. My position is pretty straightforward. That puts us at the tip of the spear. If they're coming to our community and setting up their communication center, I think there's a distinct advantage for us to kind of at least look at this and see how it best serves our community and our surrounding communities. So it's just a conversation at this point, but there was a lot of information that came out of that strategic planning process. Hiring process, I shared with you the 3 positions that are currently out there. Number of applicants for each one of those positions. So pretty exciting. We'll continue to keep you apprised of that progress. Grants, we are going to put in a regional AFG grant. I'll share with you that is going to be across 12 entities. So what we will be pursuing, that list is still being compiled, but ultimately it'll be some sort of training equipment or props that serve all 12 communities. So it'll be mobile, and capable of being transported where the need is. So it'll keep companies in service at the respective stations and then be returned to the training center to be basically farmed out to the next agency in need. So pretty exciting if we are able to get that. Don't know the exact particulars yet. Mitigation grants, we did secure the Cocoa Co-swap grant, which is another $70,000 divided up amongst 3 communities. That would be the Storm Mountain community, Pinewood community, and give me the third. Waltonia Road being those 3. So we would have funding from that 70,000 to start doing mitigation work in those 3 high priority areas that have been addressed in the CWPP.
You're gonna have to help me. What's a COCO and co-swap?
So Colorado Collaboratives, I think is the CO.
I don't mean this to be a test.
No, trust me, it's a test for me just as well. Help me with the those. I got the Colorado. Wow.
Colorado swap meet.
Colorado Strategic Wildlife Action Program.
There you go.
Okay.
So, yeah. So there's still a number of grants and a lot of these are in cooperation or in conjunction with the Big Thompson Watershed Coalition. So that's been a great partnership. Last item is the interns that we talked about. So we just wrapped up those interviews. We had 18 applicants and we are moving forward with potentially 2 of those interns coming on board July 1. So very exciting. And Director Marsh, I should share with you, we did get that fully funded. So the county came through for that. So I wanted to express my appreciation for that. So there will be no expenditure for the LFRA. That's a county funded project. Very exciting.
Thank
To
Jody for it.
Yeah, thank you.
yeah. I think there was some behind the scenes work that had to happen on that and I appreciate that. So, all right, Chief Ward, I'll turn it over to you.
Community Safety Division, Carrie sent me this information last week. Just talking a little bit about the food trucks, and she provided some numbers in 2023, they did 83 food truck inspections. 10 years ago, they did 5. So it's grown quite a bit. One of the most successful things with the food trucks is there's 9 Northern Colorado fire departments that have all joined together that do these inspections. So if you go get inspected in Windsor by Windsor Severance Fire, they put a sticker on the truck and it has all the different agencies' logos. So when they come to Loveland, they don't have to get re-inspected by a different fire department. So right now there's nine agencies in that. Berthoud is just coming into it, and also Platte Valley, Evans, and LaSalle. So it continues to grow. So great job by Carrie and the staff in growing that program.
I asked Brian, how do you code this when you're reporting sales tax? How do you report sales tax to a food truck?
Home consumption or not?
Would it be under restaurants? Would it be under? Restaurant, okay. Where's sales tax, Brian?
Roll the trucks.
83 compared to 5.
Roll the trucks.
Some things on the facilities, the training center master plan, the map, the important thing right now is the yellow. That's phase 1 of the training center. The rest of the master plan is still under development. We're working through that process now. But the phase 1 is the part of the training center upgrade that's in progress. Our new burn prop and smokehouse. And I don't know if everybody on the board knows, it's made out of shipping containers. And it'll all be pieced together, and so it can be parts and pieces can be replaced down the line and stuff as needed. Last I heard that the containers were on the ship on the way to Texas. When they get to Texas, they'll start fabricating our building and then they'll get them transported up here. So the things we're trying to do in preparation for that is we have to get some concrete down. And we have to get some hydrant work and water line work in. The first big hurdle to that is we have to loop our water system down there with the property to the south. There's a hydrant that dead ends in the property to the south, and the big hurdle with that is there's a ditch, underground ditch that runs on the south side of the training center that we have to bore underneath. And apparently you can only do that when they're not running water through it. So I'm learning a lot. We have to have that bore done before the 15th of March. So Fraser and I have been scrambling with trying to get a contractor, trying to get all the improvement or approvals done. The city and LFRA and the ditch company all had to have an IGA. We got that put through. Now the ditch company has our drawings to do this one portion. And we need them to sign that off so we can engage a contractor that's hopefully got our quotes coming again. We had to make some adjustments on the quotes so we can get this done before the 15th. If not, we have to wait till November.
Oh.
Don't mess
Do
with
that
that.
They said it's like a railroad from what
Yep,
I've
it is.
learned.
Director Mallow, that would have been a good piece of information.
Go around the ditch.
Well, we evaluated the Alaskan pipeline is above ground. Yeah, so they were very supportive, but yeah, we learned the ditch company rules. God, country, ditch company. Maybe not even in that order. And I do want to share, Chief Ward has been all hands on deck on this, as has Fraser. This has been a team effort. You're gonna hear this water line loop thing a couple of times, not only with the training center, is gonna happen the same when we start talking about Station 3.
I think the city side of the shop has been helping too.
Yes, yeah, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to leave them out. Yeah, no, we appreciate it. And Vince charged hard, as did you, to help us with the ditch company, so we appreciate it.
The new Station 3, piece of that, we had a public meeting about a month ago now, I believe, and over at Public Works with our architects, with Noreen from city planning and city facilities maintenance, had probably 25 people there, something like that. Really good feedback on the station. The major concern of the citizens is the county road. They'd like to see some improvements on the county road, which the fire station doesn't drive that necessarily. So, but we had some good conversations. We met the neighbors that'll be right next door. They happened to have moved there a few years ago. They used to live right across the street from the current Station 3. So it was nice. They spoke about us being good neighbors to the group. And so we got that, I think, taken care of. The only other concern was the station blocking some views. And so the architects did a good job of having some photographs with the building in the photographs and to show the different views. And really most of the views are across Bodecker Lake, and our station is far enough south that it really doesn't impede that. So overall, I thought it was a good meeting. Chief and I were both present for that one.
We did confirm that neighbor's not moving, so we won't have to move the fire station. Every time he moves, we apparently move the fire station, but he's set for life.
Chief Ward, if I can follow that, please. So one of the things that and it really kind of happened when we did the St. Valentine's project is I was exposed to part of this process of creating a good neighbor agreement. Have you guys done those kinds of things before? It's kind of, and we can talk about it more, but it's essentially to say LFRA has a good neighbor agreement that says, okay, we're gonna be a good neighbor and this is what we're gonna do as a good neighbor. And you put it in writing, you tell, like, okay, we aren't gonna turn the sirens on until we're here, right? And you guys are gonna do that, but you turn it into a good neighbor agreement and it seems to work pretty well in different areas. And we'd like to chat about that a little bit more. It's kind of formalizing it, and it might make the neighbors, understand how this is gonna work and take away a little bit on, uncertainty or fear or something like that. Anyway, just a thought. I'd offer that up if you'd like to talk about that.
No, I'd love to, because at city council, we had that young lady who left. That's the only time I've ever seen anybody do that, but yeah, I think that would serve well in that situation.
Cheryl just mentioned that she thought we did that at Station 7, which Michael Sarowski ran that program, so or that project, so I'm not sure, but we'll see if we can.
Yeah, maybe you
find
guys
that
have an
in there.
example. I can track down an example for you, and maybe we can, as a thought.
Some additional stuff that January and Robert's been out in the community doing 55+ fall prevention class. The crews had a Girl Scout tour at Station 2. Eagles hockey team first responder night, and Ponderosa Elementary School looks like the fire engine visiting the kids. So as a reminder, everything that most of the time, I should say, what we do out in the community is either January or January and Robert, if it's a specific group. If it's usually if it deals with the kiddos or a bigger community event, it's January and the crews from the station. So it's really a team effort to get our message out there.
And we can move on. I didn't review the packet that went out Thursday. I don't know what happened to all the slides I had, so I apologize, but I'll get you on the next board meeting.
So in other words, you've seen these two incidents.
Yeah.
You have two more than I have to do.
Okay, very good, thank you. All right, I don't believe we have anything else. Any board members have anything they'd like to bring up for board consideration or conversation? I just have one last quick thing. Chris sent out an email, I don't know, about a month ago asking about interest in going to Supervac. We talked about that as a board. I don't think she's heard back from anybody but me, maybe. I'm not even sure I responded, did I?
I think we had 2 responses and those dates had already been filled the second time.
Supervac is our apparatus manufacturer formerly in Ludlow, now in Fort Collins. But yeah,
I thought I signed up for that, but.
we can sign you.
I think we had a set of dates and they've all passed now, or been filled for those slots, so Chief Ward.
Yeah, I think you and I haven't talked about it. I sent you an email. We want to send that out again with dates in April and May.
Okay.
So maybe far enough out, we'll get more availability.
Are there any days that work better for people so that we can kind of tailor the schedules?
What time of day are you thinking?
How long are the?
We could do them in probably 2 hours. So and SBI is usually pretty open to whatever we need.
The second Wednesday and the last Wednesday of the month are bad.
I didn't choose any Wednesdays last time because of work meetings.
Yeah.
Are there any other days that don't work?
Fridays are typically my best day.
I try to hold Friday open, but.
Well, that's why.
That's
it's
a little
big
secret.
we know
Yeah.
that. And the
That's
one
your-
time I went,
good
you
weather.
you combined it with an ice cream social.
We did.
That might be a
That's a
further
motivator.
enticement.
Yeah.
Fridays are good for me.
Is it the hope that we'll go do the tour when they're working on the apparatus, our specific apparatus?
No,
or is it
probably
just general?
probably not ours. It would be we're probably 2 years out before they'll have any of ours in there.
Ice cream would melt.
I was just thinking opportunity to sign the frame or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Christie, I'm fine.
Okay. All right, so I'll definitely have some Friday options in there and then maybe some Thursday afternoon options, just as a little bit of spice.
Fridays are probably the best for me too. I try to, the other stuff is, my calendar recently is kind of blown up.
Has it gone- has it gotten busy?
Yeah, it's kind of blown up.
All right, so I'll probably send this out as a Google poll, so if you guys respond to it, I'll be happy to get this all set up.
Okay.
It won't be long before these will be the good old days, Rod.
Well, we're making sure he's gonna really appreciate his retirement.
Emily, do you have anything for us?
I don't, looking forward to talking about the order next month.
All right, Chief Carmesino, good to see you both here. Thanks for being here. If there's no further business, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Sure, John's gonna go right, we do the top one.
Thank you, bud.